Why did you Donald Trump?
I have no idea.
Okay, but you say it's not a Me Too case.
It is not a Me Too case.
That's not what she's saying now.
As you know by now, porn star Stormy Daniels testified last week under oath in the trial of Donald Trump and falsifying financial records up in Manhattan. Today, Michael Cohen is taking the stand. So just so you know, the Stormy Daniels testimony actually is completely irrelevant to the falsifying financial records part of the trial against Donald Trump. Literally, they could have proven their case if they tried to prove a case without ever calling her to the stand. But that wouldn't have actually served the purpose of the trial, which has nothing to do with the law or justice. It has to do with a political hit job against Donald Trump. Don't believe me? Well, just so you know, they will go to no length to hurt Donald Trump. I mean, they even invented the Steele dossier and suggested that he was in cahoots with Vladimir Putin to steal the 2016 election. And they invented that. And that went so far as to an FBI and special prosecutor investigation that never proved what they allege. So if they were willing to do that, I think they might be willing to charge Donald Trump with falsifying records just to drag his name through the mud. Of course, it's not working, but let's get back to Stormy Daniels, because apparently not only did she testify last week to try to harm Donald Trump and serve a political purpose, but she also lied under oath. And Bill Maher has brought the receipts. Take a look at this segment, and then we'll talk about it.
And first I asked her why she had sex with Trump. Listen to that. And then listen to what she says after that. And then we're going to talk about the trial, because it's quite a variance of what she said to me in 2018. Why did you Donald Trump?
I have no idea.
Okay, but you say it's not a Me Too case.
It is not a Me Too case. I mean, I wasn't assaulted. I wasn't attacked or raped or coerced or blackmailed. They tried to shove me in the Me Too box to further their own agenda. And first of all, I didn't want any part of that because it's not the truth, and I'm not a victim in that regard.
That's not what she's saying now. She's talking about he was bigger and blocking the way. It's all the Me Too buzzwords. She said there was a power imbalance of power for sure. My hands were shaking so hard. She said she blacked out. Blacked out? She's a porn star. I don't think sex.
But that doesn't mean she's been subjected to the likes of Donald Trump. I might black out too.
Do you really think she blacked out? I mean, a porn star is used to having sex with people she does not know. That's the job. It's kind of like Stormy Bob Stormy.
Yeah, and of course, yes, you get your obligatory laugh line there with, oh, well, she'd never seen the likes of Donald Trump, whatever. And Bill Maher, you could tell that he thought that was a BS answer, but he was going to let it go because it got a laugh, and that's really what that show is all about. But he makes a pretty good point. In fact, a couple of very good points. First, the Stormy Daniels testimony. She's lying. She was either lying right there in 2018 in that interview, or she's lying now under oath. But both stories don't mesh. In fact, both stories are the polar opposite of one another. When asked in 2018, when she was violating her non-disclosure agreement and peddling the story, of which, by the way, she has now been fined $300,000 by a court, and she owes that money to Donald Trump. Did you know that? Oh, yeah. She violated a sworn statement that said that, first of all, she wouldn't talk about Donald Trump, and number two, that she said under oath that she didn't have a sexual relationship with Donald Trump. And then in 2018, she came out and said that she did. That violated the non-disclosure agreement. That's why they call it hush money, you see. And so now she has to pay Donald Trump $300,000 for violating that non-disclosure agreement. So she has a vested interest in Donald Trump being prosecuted here, because she hasn't paid a penny that she owes him right now for violating that agreement. But everybody says, oh, well, whether they had sex or not is a he said, she said. No. Actually, it's not. It's a she said, because she said they didn't back then. And now she says that they did. So which Stormy Daniels are you going to believe? Now, before you wonder which Stormy Daniels you should believe, let me also remind you that this is a woman who literally, and I do mean literally in the most literal sense of the word, literally will do unspeakable things for a paycheck. That's sort of definitionally what her profession calls for. It's prostitution. Certain things that you would never do for money, she will do. In fact, if she's willing to do those things that she has done for money, which most people sort of frown upon in polite society, what makes you think she wouldn't also lie for money? You see, that's why, boys and girls, we should all behave ourselves and not get into the pornography business. Because as soon as you become a pornographer and you say to the world that you're willing to do all that stuff for money, we pretty much assume you'll do anything for money, because you will. Also, by the way, boys, there's a lesson here for you too. Don't ever date a porn star or have sex with a porn star or do anything with a porn star if you think they're going to be discreet, or if you think they're going to keep their word. Or generally speaking, you just shouldn't do things like that with a porn star at all. Why am I going down this rabbit hole? The point is, don't ever get involved with a porn star, because I don't think they're very trustworthy. Okay, so that leads us, though, to the question: was Stormy Daniels lying in her interview with Bill Maher in 2018, or is she lying now when she claims that this was a whole Me Too, sexual assault, I was bullied, coerced, and blacked out kind of situation? Or when she literally said the opposite in 2018? Well, let me just shed some light on it. In 2018, in that climate, with Donald Trump as president, with Stormy Daniels coming out and telling her story, in the wake of the Harvey Weinstein situation and the Me Too hysteria and everything else going on in this world, if there was even a smidgen of truth to what she is now claiming about her alleged relationship with Donald Trump that bordered up to the Me Too movement, there would have been literally no downside for her to tell it back then. I mean, none whatsoever. In any way. There is only positive benefit for her to say that. And yet you just saw the video where she adamantly denied that there was anything like that. So that's really important and informative from Bill Maher there. But also, before Bill Maher had his say, Megyn Kelly on Friday also commented on this testimony. And Megyn Kelly, by the way, she famously sued Fox News based on sexual harassment on the job and Me Too stuff that went on. So, and she's also a lawyer. So she's kind of, I think, well-versed in the do's and don'ts on issues like this. And frankly, more importantly, she doesn't have any tolerance for somebody exploiting the issue the way it appears Stormy Daniels is now for her own good sympathy. Take a watch.
There's another piece of it. I mean, that we talked when Phil was on the show the other day about this new Me Too suggestion. It's implicit. She can't say it explicitly, like I was Me Too'd by the guy, but she's now talking about the power differential between them and how, okay, he didn't behave in a threatening way, but he blocked my path out of the hotel room because I emerged from the bathroom and there he was on the bed and the hotel room door was on the other side of him. Hello, that's called life. You walk around the bed and you open up the hotel room like we've all done a million times at the door. It's not that hard. It's not threatening just because somebody's there trying allegedly to do what it was clearly both of your mission to do when you showed up and didn't have dinner. So here is Susan Necklace zeroing in on testimony Stormy gave on direct, which I had missed, about this is another one of the reasons she allegedly felt so threatened and couldn't leave and therefore she had to stay and have sex with him. He had a bodyguard outside the door, you see, guys? And apparently this is also threatening in some way, even though Trump was non-threatening. This also led Stormy to believe, I guess I can't leave. So the Trump defense attorney, this is Necklace Dill. Did you testify on direct that one of the reasons you did not leave the room is because you felt threatened by Trump's bodyguard being outside? Stormy, absolutely. And then she refers to a Vogue 2018 interview Stormy did. Did you say in this interview that you never felt threatened at all during your alleged sexual encounter? And she says, I don't control what parts of quotes they use. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, but it sounds like a no. it sounds like, no, I didn't say I never felt threatened. Let me refer to the quote from the Vogue article, which we pulled. This is the author of the article, the journalist, writing, quote, "Our interview is almost over, but I have a nagging question left to ask. She's always insisted that the sex was consensual and that her story has nothing to do with the Me Too movement. But ever since I watched Daniels tell Anderson Cooper that she felt a sense of obligation to Trump, quote, I had it coming for making a bad decision for going into someone's room alone, end quote, she said. I've wondered why she didn't just leave. Did Trump do something that made her feel like she had to have sex with him? Daniels is emphatic. No, nothing, she says. Quote, not once did I ever feel like I was in any sort of physical danger. I'm sure if I would have taken off running, he wouldn't have given chase. And even if I had, there's no way he could have caught me. Contrast that to one of the reasons I didn't leave is because I felt threatened. His bodyguard was out front. You guys, this is a joke.
That was good.
Yeah, it's a joke, all right. It's absolutely a joke, all right. And Megyn Kelly nails it there. And again, she's a lawyer, so she's knows her way around this testimony and knows her way specifically around Me Too or sexual harassment suits and these situations where women find themselves in these situations. It's great and great commentary from both Bill Maher and Megyn Kelly, who can't be on more opposite polarized positions in terms of politics and in terms of just their approach to the jobs that they do. That said, this is the trial the left wants. This is the trial the Democrats want. By the way, also revealed last week in a pretrial hearing was the fact that one of Alvin Bragg, he's the prosecutor there in Manhattan, one of the paralegals that works on the case actually deleted pages of evidence showing phone calls between Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen, the lawyer, former lawyer of Donald Trump, who's the witness today, deleted 3 pages worth of phone records that had taken place between the three of them and never revealed to the court or to the defendant that those calls had been in the evidence that they had and then got deleted. So, sounds like evidence tampering to me, doesn't it to you? And then lying about it. They were compelled to admit that, in fact, those records had been deleted and that they had lied about their existence. So, it's all shaping up to be a real fair day for Donald Trump in court up in Manhattan. And again, I remind you today, Michael Cohen is taking the stand. So last week was the porn star who has changed her story many times, who has already sworn under oath that there was no sexual relationship, and then, of course, violated her non-disclosure agreement and perjured herself against the sworn statement that it never happened, and has now changed her story from 6 years ago when she said it didn't happen to now saying, first of all, she came out 6 years ago and said, oh, yes, it did happen, even though years before she had said it didn't happen. And now, as she tells the story about how it did happen, her story is different than it was 6 years ago when she said it happened. So that was last week's star witness. And then this week's star witness, Michael Cohen, he has 2 claims of fame. The first is that he used to be Donald Trump's lawyer. And the second is that he just got out of jail for lying in a courtroom under oath. And now he'll be testifying in a courtroom under oath. But he's to be believed this time. And I'm sure a Manhattan jury will somehow believe him and convict Donald Trump, because that's just where we are, which, by the way, is why you generally don't do these things against a former president, because everyone has a strong opinion about them. And you find a place where he lost by a large amount from the voters, that's your jury pool, and that's the result you're going to get, which is why we don't do this. I mean, listen, they can try Joe Biden on anything. And, let's try him in West Virginia, which I think went by 40 points for Donald Trump. And even though I trust the people of West Virginia, that they're very honest people, I'm thinking they'll probably convict Joe Biden. I mean, because he's guilty, of course. But still, wherever you're drawing your jury pool from, that's how it's going to end up, which is why we don't do this. Oh, one other thing that I want to bring up as you watch the trial, if you're watching the trial. The allegation, as you know, is that Donald Trump falsified his financial records and called what was a payment to Stormy Daniels in a non-disclosure agreement to get rid of a story that might have harmed his campaign. He called it legal fees, which of course is exactly what it was, legal fees. But then the additional charge that makes this rise to the level of felony is that falsifying of financial records was done for the purpose of breaking campaign finance rules and federal election rules, which of course, as you know, is not under the jurisdiction of the Manhattan District Attorney, but they'll clean that up later, I guess, is their argument. But see, here's the problem with that. Apparently, the alleged falsification of the financial records, calling the payment to Stormy Daniels through Michael Cohen a legal fee, that actually took place after the election. That took place after the election. The alleged falsification of the financial records wasn't done until after Donald Trump had already won the presidency. So explain to me how he did that to violate the election laws and hide the story and the payment to help his campaign if he did it after his campaign was over. I mean, I'm no high-priced lawyer, but if I were representing Donald Trump, that would be a big part of my defense. A big part. The trial rolls on. Oh, one other tangential issue. New battleground polls out again today. And for the 5th round of polls in a row, Donald Trump is trouncing Joe Biden by 10 points in Nevada. By I don't want to do it off the top of my head, but he's doing very well in all the battleground states right now. As these trials continue, it's actually having the opposite effect on Donald Trump with regard to voters. So, happy ending, I suppose.